Yankee fans, grab your coffee, grab your anything. I don't know even what the hell I'm talking about. I'm so fucking happy to be a Yankee fan. I think you know the year that this team has had to put together a game like that, like we saw last night. We have been waiting for this all year. The offense just going off on a tear. The defense just being completely on point. The pitching doing what they've been doing all year, shutting down offenses left and right. It was having Herman on the mound for that. I think also shows that anybody can redeem themselves and really just, he had a great start to the year. He got caught with some sticky shit. Then he got rocked a couple of games, and then he comes back and gives us last night. What a fucking game that was! I can't even contain myself. I'm almost speechless, And guys, watching that game, as the game progressed, you're going, okay. You get through the fifth inning, you get through the sixth inning. You're like, all right, they're onto something. You started, usually, the fifth and the sixth innings when you start to really feel it. And what were your guys' reactions while you were watching that game?
I didn't really know about it. I didn't really pay attention to it until it was like the sixth inning, and I was like, hold on a second. There's a whole lot of zeros. I could have sworn they had a guy on base. Like, that's just how kind of like dead the game was for the first few innings until Stanton hit the home run. Like, there was just no life to the entire game. So I could have sworn they had somebody on base. I didn't really know. I'm going to be perfectly honest. And then I realized, I'm like, does he have a no-hitter or is it I didn't even want to say the words. So it's like, I can say no-hitter because we've seen Domingo German take like 6 no-hitters into the 7th and 8th inning over these last 2 years. So that's nothing new. But I'm like, hold on a second. This is that magic word that we can't really say right now. And yeah, on a night where the offense came out and put up 11 runs, for that to happen, it's pretty special. I know people are going to be like, oh, it's just Oakland, but this has only happened, 24 times in baseball history. It's been 10 years since we've seen a perfect game. It's been a very long time, since 1999, since we've seen one for the Yankees. So, yeah, it's a special moment. It was awesome to see. And the fact that it was German actually doesn't surprise me because he's been the only one that's flirted with that so many times over the last couple of years. So I'm like, if there was anybody that was going to do it against a team like Oakland, it would have been him, just because he's been so bad his last 2 starts. It makes sense that he would go out and throw the perfect game or a no-hitter if there was anybody on this rotation that would do it.
First of all, I want to wish everyone in the chat. So let's roll call here for Jonathan. Shout out, man. Good morning. Medina, good morning. Damien, good morning. What German did could be something that changes the season, and no matter what happens, no one can take this from us.
Yep.
I want to say congratulations to all 3 Yankee fans in the chat so far. I'm sure it's going to bulk up over the next few minutes, but everyone in the chat, big congratulations for witnessing history. Yeah, my thoughts. It's hard to even quantify how lucky we are as Yankee fans. It really is. It's amazing because this organization, on an annual basis, will do something special.
Yep.
And even in a down year, they make history. And that's what no other organization in sports can offer. No other organization in sports has this amount of history and historical moments. I mean, even in a down year a couple of years ago, we got Corey Kluber throwing a no-hitter. And now we're getting a perfect game. We've not had a perfect game since 1999 as a Yankee fan, and I personally have the pleasure of actually being there in person to see the last perfect game. So it's kind of mixed emotions for me because it was such a historical moment for me to see it live. But German was amazing, and I do agree with Rob that if there was someone that was going to do it, it would be surprisingly German because he's the most efficient with his pitches. He could get through innings really quickly, and and keep hitters off balance without racking up a huge pitch count. So he cruised into the ninth inning with 97 pitches going into the ninth inning. And that's when everything's working for him. Um, as it was yesterday with his curveball. His curveball was electric.
Yeah.
He has that no hit slash perfect stuff, and it all came together yesterday. And you know what? I can't begrudge him, man. You know what? He's what I will say about Herman is no matter what we say, what he has is he's able just to come back from things. He bounces back. He bounces back from bad outings. He gave up 10 runs his last outing. He bounces back. He got done with the sticky stuff. He bounces back. He's a guy that just bounces back and always comes back stronger. And he's got a real mental fortitude, this guy. And he deserves a ton of credit, and congratulations to him and his family. It's a wonderful moment for him, and also let's not forget Higashioka. He called a great game, called a phenomenal game. He did a great job behind the plate, and so he's very much linked to this history as well. The pitcher catcher combo for a perfect game is so important. We had Larson and Yogi Berra. We've had Joe Girardi catch David Cohn. These guys are always going to be linked together forever. And now we can add Kyle Higashioka to Domingo German. So huge congratulations, and wow, what a day to be a Yankee fan, really.
Yeah, it goes to I think Damian, like we were hinting around, Higgy caught Kluber's no hitter, and now he catches Domingo's perfect game. Let's give Higgy some credit too. I think that really goes. Everybody talks about the pitcher, but I think the catcher is just as important in these type of outings because they have to call the game. They're the ones that are asking for certain pitches to be thrown, navigating a lineup, and I don't care if it was Oakland. I don't. It doesn't matter. You know how difficult and focused you have to be able to get 27 straight outs. And let's also not forget, because the offense was on a tear last night. There were 2 innings that went, I think, what was it, the 5th inning went 20-something minutes, where he actually went out to the bullpen and started throwing to stay loose. He's sitting in the dugout, you showed him, and he's doing all these stretches and all that. Like, he knew something was gonna, he felt that he was untouchable last night. And Domingo made sure not to get lost in a moment with the offense and stayed focused on his game plan, and him and Higgy nailed it. Him and Higgy called a great, they put together a great outing last night. The defense was on point. As much as we say, wow, the pitcher threw a perfect game, and then the catcher gets the credit, the defense and the offense has to do their job as well. So I think, when you get games like this, it really is a collective victory for everybody and a collective moment for everybody.
Yep. Agreed. Everyone contributed.
Yeah. It's you're starting to see the runs hit, start to accumulate, innings going long, then putting together. At one point I was sitting on Twitter, oh my God, please just let Donaldson hit into a double play. This inning is going too long. We're rooting for outs just to, keep German, on the ready. And I just think, the whole team deserves a big, pat on the back for this.
Oh, yeah. I'm still amazed. Like, we're just so blessed. I have to say, repeat again, like, we're blessed as Yankee fans, man. Can you imagine the amount of history this organization makes? It's just mind-blowing. It really is. As I say, no other team in sports has these moments of history so often. It's unbelievable. Like, a perfect game and a no-hitter in just a couple of years, and we've had 4 perfect games in our history. We've got the most championships, the most pennants. It's just incredible. The most numbers retired, the most icons. Like, we are the face of sports. The New York Yankees are the face of sports. And that's why we hold them to such a standard. And that's why other organizations and fan bases just be like, oh, these fans are so spoiled. How could they be complaining about a team that's above 500? It's because we hold this team to that kind of standard. This kind of standard that, we are the face of sports. And no other team does this and makes this amount of history. So of course we hold them to that standard. But boy, my God, I have to say, this year we've had maybe the pitcher being great and the defense being great, but the offense not being there, or vice versa. But very rarely, if ever, we've had all three come together in the same game, and it's culminated in a perfect game. Wild. Absolutely wild.
One of the things that also stands out is you have if you do not live in New York, even if you're not a Yankee fan, if you don't live in New York, or if you're a Yankee fan outside of the market, okay, exactly what you said. The expectations and the level of our desire to always see something great is, if you're not a Yankee fan, you don't get it. You just don't get it. And I just reminded myself of something I was saying yesterday when I made the reference to the Incredibles movie. Why do we watch these games? We're just waiting to see something great.
Yeah.
And we got to see that last night. Maybe I predicted it. Maybe. You never know. But it's, I just think that every Yankee fan should be in such a great mood, despite of all the bitching and the moaning and the complaint, that we've had for the last few weeks, since Judge went down. Everything got erased for one night, and that's the beauty of baseball. It just takes one night for you to say, you know what, I'm not going to complain. I'm not going to try to second guess anything. I'm just going to just embrace the memory of what I saw.
Can I correct you?
Go ahead.
That's the Yankees. That's not really necessarily baseball. It's what the Yankees do.
Well, you know what? You're right, because if you go back to every season, that we've been doing, these shows, and even beyond that,
yeah,
there's always a game or a moment or a series where we stand above everybody else, despite if it's a World Series or it's a perfect game, a no-hitter, the offensive onslaught, the pitching gems, triple plays. There was that one year we had how many triple plays?
That's right.
Those are seasons where you could look back on and be like, you know what? It wasn't a complete, just shit show. There were things you could go back to for every year and be like, that's why we stay tuned in.
Yeah. Last year, we actually got the home run record. And this year, we're getting a perfect game.
Yep.
Last year, we got one of the greatest seasons in the history of baseball. And baseball's the most historic sport in all of sports. And we saw history last year. And now we're getting history this year. This organization's special, man. I don't want to be the type of fan that's puffing out his chest now after being unhappy a couple days ago, but it's more the case that you do need to take a step back and appreciate that there is something special about this organization that it's just, wow. Sometimes it just leaves you speechless. It really does.
Oh, we're lucky. We're very, very lucky. I don't really know what else to say about it. Like, it was a great game. And if anyone finds a reason to nitpick about yesterday's game, you can't. There's really nothing you can nitpick about. Even if you wanted to point out that Donaldson had the worst at-bats again, he still hit a double later in the game and drove in a couple of runs, I think. So everyone contributed to that win. Everybody. And it's been a while since every single player contributed to a win. So that's overall, that meant it was a great game. But then you just look at what German did, and you're thinking, we just watched history again. You go back to last year, it was Judge, and the year before we had Kluber's no hitter, and it was the triple plays, and even 2020, which is such a strange season. Nothing really happened, in 2020, like because it was just 60 games. You really couldn't find anything, but you realized that baseball was being played in such a strange time because what we were dealing with, and so
right.
anything that happened was kind of like special because we were just lucky to be getting sports at that point. But this team continues to give us reasons to keep coming back. It's like once you, like I said yesterday, that yesterday was the lowest I felt all season about this team. When you score one run against the Athletics and you lose, it was just like this team can't get any worse. And then they go and do that. And I'm like, that's just baseball. Baseball is weird. It's so weird. You don't see that in a lot of other sports where a team can look so bad and then the next day, literally the next day, they come out and they're perfect. Literally perfect. Like that's baseball. It's so strange. It's such a weird sport, and I'll never stop saying that because it's been around for over a century.
Yep.
And we've only had so many of these happen in baseball history, in the history of the entire sport. All the great names that we've seen be on a mound. Domingo German now joins those guys. That's pretty incredible.
Something he'll never forget. I want to give a shout out to Sunil. Good to see you in the chat, man. I've seen you a couple of days. Great to see you, my guy. Hope you're doing well. As Hector on the Morning Brew Cruise Sports says, the stadium is built with duct tape. Yesterday's Domingo German's sticky above propensity implored him to use excessive duct tape. He was wild. Damien, yeah. Higgy with now 2 new hitters under his belt. Absolutely remarkable. Medina, well, congratulations to you. I've seen 3 perfect games in my life. Wells, Cone, and now German. I will treasure them for the rest of my life. Yeah, Medina was pretty cool, man. It is very, very cool. I've had the pleasure of seeing 3 as well. 2 I can remember now. This is actually the perfect time to bring out this this prize ball that I got from David Cone. It's a David Cone ball signed from 1999, the perfect game. I can remember it, man. I can remember like it was yesterday. It was up in the bleacher seats, and the nosebleeds, and I remember my grandfather at the time. He was like, "Man, do you realize what's going on right here? Do you realize what's going on?" It's about the 7th inning. He was getting so nervous. He was getting so stressed. And then I remember there was a rain delay because there was a thunderstorm. And so David Cone had to come back 30 minutes later, and there was a 30-minute, 40-minute rain delay, which is really hard to do, to come back again. And I remember it. It was wild. My whole family was there. All my cousins, my auntie, my uncle, my grandparents. So it was a day I'll never forget. And it's amazing that 20 years later, we're seeing another perfect game. It's just what the Yankee organization does, man. But I will always remember it. I will always remember being there to see a perfect game. It was my very first Yankee game. I was, 14, 15? Remarkable. So, yeah, it's very, very cool. And, yeah, it's very cool to have this signed ball. God bless you, David Cone.
When you're sitting in the stand, I'll ask you, Donald, because I know that you were in the attendance for, the David Cone. When you're sitting in the stands,
yeah,
as you're watching the game go, progress, what starts to go through your head while you're actually sitting there watching it live?
I think. Well, considering I was 15, I think it meant more to my grandfather because he was he'd been watching the Yankees since the 20s or the 30s. So he was getting super stressed by about the 6th inning. And by the 6th inning, that was when he was starting to be like, dude, this is unbelievable. So I would say about the 6th inning because I was just what I could remember was that we were just cruising through. I just remember David Cone striking out Vlad Guerrero because it was the Montreal Expos that were playing and struck him out and made him look stupid. And I was like, damn, David Cone's pitches are fire today. And, but yeah, I just remember for the first 5 innings, we were just kind of cruising through. It was only when the 6th inning started to go through a couple outs in the 6th inning that it started to hit. And then that's when my grandfather was like, "Oh my God! That's what I remember."
No, that's awesome. No, I don't know what my what my state of mind would be if I was at a stadium for a moment like that. But let's give it a quick shout. Jigga man, how you doing? Yeah, perfect night. Feeling perfect this morning.
I actually have this. This is from the perfect game when that
Oh,
final out
that's
came.
awesome.
It's me and my
That's awesome.
granddad.
And guys, if you guys already know in the chat, make sure that after we sign off here, go make sure you go on to Yanks Warner Brew, Hector and TC. They are going to bring it on today when they get to talking. Jiggaman, if you do not pop in and make a cameo, I'm gonna slap you because I want to see that energy on that show. But I might even pop on the show. You never know. But it's when you're watching, you know, when you're seeing Herman and you see everything that he's gone through, you kind of you have to tip it. Is it time to say that this guy has really just completely redeemed himself from all the bad outings and all the off-field stuff? How much more would he have to do to be like, all right, I've moved on from my life, I've matured, and just give him the credit he deserves for the career that the professionalism, the career he's putting together.
I would like to try to leave the personal stuff out of it. If we're talking about from a baseball standpoint, he's still probably been our worst starter over the last month. But this is a huge moment. How do you redeem yourself after two terrible starts in a row? You go and throw a perfect game. That's pretty big. So I don't want to bring in, because we all know what he did is never going to be accepted by anybody. You can't forgive somebody. You could try to, even if his family did, but you want to leave that out of it. Because I've always said I'm going to root for him on the field, but I can never be like, I love Domingo German the person, because it's a touchy subject for obvious reasons. So you want to leave that out of it.
What I meant to, how I should have put it, there were a handful of people on social media last night that were saying, why him? He shouldn't have been the one to do it, and just kind of trying to, rehash all the negative stuff instead of just letting him have his, let him embrace what he was able to do. Because don't forget, only 24 people now have done it. There was nothing stopping anybody else from doing it. He was able to kind of finish what he had started. And like you were saying, Rob, we've seen this, it was almost kind of like this was in the making over some of his starts that he's just been dominant. Is it fair to him in this within this 24 hours of the game ending for people to start really bashing him about, the old stuff?
I mean, you can't pick and choose history. You can't just pick and choose and decide who deserves to get history or not. I refuse to today. I refuse to talk about anything to do with Herman's background, because what I saw was someone who's so happy. He was so happy. You saw how much it meant to him. He had a huge smile on his face. He was hugely appreciative of his teammates, and he also brought up the fact that just 48 hours before, his uncle died, and he was crying in the clubhouse just the day before, right? So it takes unbelievable mental fortitude to not only pitch well, but to pitch perfectly, and be one of the most historic pitchers now. That his name will always be in history, and to be, as I said earlier in this pod, he's a very resilient guy. He's had to come back from a bunch of times, things, and he's always come back stronger. And to lose a loved one, a family member, and just 24 hours later pitch a perfect game, I mean, my God, I don't know anyone who would begrudge him that. You saw how much it meant to him, and what I loved is he shared it with everybody. Man, he was calling for photos with everybody in the team. He wanted everybody with him. He didn't want to be a pitch. He didn't want a picture just with himself. He wanted Higashioka beside him. This is a guy who obviously really cares, and it means a lot to him. So you know what, my absolutely tip my proverbial cap to him for what he did and his achievement. And yeah, congratulations to German.
Yeah, I just seeing some of it. We got to witness to witness history and greatness last night. From German to Higgy to the defense to the offense, and just some of the negative stuff that came out. It's like this is why social media gets such a bad rap. Because it was just uncalled for. Some of the vitriol that was being spit. But he has gone through, I would say, maybe one of his toughest years. Having a great start, getting suspended, like you brought up, losing his uncle just, 2 days ago to what he was able to do now. It's his mental fortitude. You're right, Donald. I think that's the only term that really fits Domingo German.
Yeah, he's resilient. That's a good word for it. Resiliency, whatever. Look, he's had some bad starts. He's had some really good ones, all in 1 year, all in a few starts of each other. When he came back from suspension, he looked fine, and then his last 2 starts, he looked terrible. He's probably had 4 of the worst starts out of any Yankee pitcher this year, but he's also had the best one. And again, that just goes back to that's baseball. anyone can do it on any given day. Remember the guy from the Tigers that got his stripped from him from the terrible call at first. Galarraga was his name, I think.
Galarraga,
yeah. He was never known as a good pitcher, but on that day he was perfect, and it should have been. It should have been a perfect game, but they took it away from him on a bad call, and that goes down in history. Anybody, anyone can do it on any given day. That's the beauty of baseball. If you have your stuff working the way he did, even against a bad lineup, it's very difficult to not give up a hit. Even a walk. Like, he didn't let a guy get on base. And let's not forget the defense had to be perfect. Rizzo with the great play. Donaldson looked great over there at third. Volpe looked smooth as I've seen him all season over there at shortstop. And everything had to be perfect last night, literally, for that to happen. And that's why it's called a perfect game, because everything has to go your way. And that Rizzo play, when that happened, I was kind of like, might have a shot at this thing, because usually you see that big play when you get a perfect game or a no hitter. There's that one really good defensive play. Like, wasn't it when Burley threw one and then Dwayne Wise had that insane catch? This is back in like 05, I think, 06. But it happens, and we saw it yesterday. And defense was perfect, pitching was perfect, the catching was perfect, and the offense was perfect. It was literally a perfect game.
Yeah,
I'm so glad you brought up the defense, man. Sorry to interrupt. I'm so glad you brought up the defense. It's a huge day for Volpe, man, because he played great at shortstop. Every throw was perfection, and he played really nice offensively too. That was a big day for him. Big confidence booster for him. Big confidence booster for Stanton. I thought Stanton was really good offensively, man. His swings were back. That home run, that's old school Big G right there.
Don't forget, he had his first really good game at the plate. He was playing the outfield. Just throwing that out there.
What have we been saying as a podcast for 3 years? Huh?
But that's what made me freaking laugh with Stanton. We've been screaming. Put the guy in the outfield, keep him loose. Watch the bat come with them, and that's exactly what happened. And unfortunately, with the perfect game, with German, we haven't really put too much into the offense.
Yeah.
But we'll get into that tomorrow. So, but we just wanted to we just had to come on. I just wanted all the focus to be on Domingo and the perfect game. And like Rob said, when it's a perfect game, everything has to be perfect. And that's what we got last night. So enjoy the memory, enjoy talking about it with all your friends, your family, all the other chats that are going to be popping up today. I'm sure every live stream channel is going to be doing something today.
Yeah.
So make sure also make a fresh pot of coffee. Head over to the Morning Brew with Hector and TC, Jigga Man, and like I said, I might be popping in. We'll see. We'll see how the stream goes, but we just want everybody to just have a place to go. Get rid of all the negative shit for a little while. Just don't even think about, don't start projecting for tonight. Just enjoy last night until the first pitch happens tonight. And so, on behalf of all of us, just want you to ask you to like, share, comment, and subscribe. And actually, you know what? Let's get Davey's comment up here. One of our newer members of the chat. And we appreciate you coming back, Davey. Went to sleep early while watching the NHL draft. Can't believe missed the perfect game. I found out at 4:30 this morning. Let's also say, too bad it was on a West Coast game.
Oh,
because the viewership, I can't imagine what was, any type of record-breaking number, and it really sucks it was in Oakland. We're only maybe 10,000 people got to witness it, as opposed to if it was at Yankee Stadium, you'd have 40,000, 50,000 people jammed into a stadium. So, yeah, I know, Jonathan, you were up for the whole thing. Jonathan was hanging out in on one.
Big shout out to Jonathan for sticking up the whole thing. Uncle Tess, did you watch it live?
Oh, hell yeah.
Oh, hell yeah.
Yeah,
do you know it was weird for me because obviously I'm out of market and I've got the huge time difference. So when I woke up first thing this morning, I didn't know the score or anything like that. I'll watch the Yankee game. I'll be fine. I'll just chill out, watch the Yankee game, have my breakfast. And just as I went on to MLB TV, right, I didn't know what the score was. It just wrote perfect game underneath the game. And I'm like, my ass, right? And I watched it. I was like, holy fucking shit. There's going to be a perfect game. So, I mean, I knew because goddamn MLB TV, why did they have to say that? Like, literally, just, you don't need to say it, but wow. It was still pretty damn cool just to watch it, even though I kind of knew that it was going to be a perfect game. MLB TV needs to stop doing that. Don't spoil it for me in future. But yeah, it was still very, very cool. Anyway, very, very cool. Oh, another thing. I want to give a shout out to Ryan Rucco. I thought he called a phenomenal game. Rob?
I was just about to say that. I was just literally about to say that. He was fantastic. His call was memorable. He always seems to have the memorable calls.
Yeah.
Or remember Judge's home run in Seattle, was it 2017? Yeah. The catch that Aaron Hicks made back in Minnesota. He called in this game last night. He was great. He was perfect too.
Game too?
He was.
Was he on the Kluber game too? Because he always
no. That was Michael K.
That was Michael K.
Yeah. I thought Rucco was phenomenal, and even Jeff Nelson, he's great. I love his color commentary. He's fantastic. But he complimented Rucco at the end too. He's like, that was a hell of a call game right there, man. I overheard it on the mic. He's like, Ryan Rucco did a phenomenal job.
Yeah, and I want to go back and listen because I was watching it. Normally I'm at work and I'm listening, but also Justin Shackle that's been filling, that's been doing John Sterling's part-time, games. I want to go back. I want to see how he reacted to it. Handling his big first Yankee moment. I have to go back and listen to that clip of how Justin Shackle called that, that final out. Especially if he's going to be in line. He's in line to take the place of John Sterling. So I'm kind of curious to see how he handled his first big Yankee moment. On the broadcast. So, shout out to Justin Shackle too for, finding himself at the right place at the right time. So, but like you said, we'll be back tomorrow. We'll be breaking down the whole series overall. Hopefully, they keep it going. But like I said, don't worry about tonight until the first pitch. Just hang out with all your friends, your family, talk about last night, talk about the perfect game. It's only been 24 of them. It's only the fourth one the Yankees have ever thrown. And, all of them, all their first names start with a D. So that might be, I saw that. I thought that was pretty cool. Yeah,
Oh, shit. You're right.
Yeah.
There you go, Tats. Good job.
So I know somebody threw the joke out there that, Garrett should change his name to Jarrett, to Derrett or something like. They were trying to change everybody's name to a D. But just remember, like this video, share this out.
Derek. Oh, Tats, you're doing so well.
I was doing good. But just remember, hit the subscribe button. And as always, wear your pinstripes of pride and play hard.
Congratulations, Herman.